Did you know that prostitution is one of the oldest occupations in history? It's often referred to as the grandma of all professions. So you would think that a occupation with this long history would be accepted today. Unfortunately, that's not the case in America. America has put laws in place prohibiting sex work, and I think that it's time for a change. I think that America should legalize sex work because the benefits greatly outweigh the consequences, and it will help make a safer work environment for workers. And I think America really has to look at New Zealand, Amsterdam, and Thailand, who have not only normalized this field but also decriminalize its work as well. So, sex work is the exchange of a sexual act for money, and it is currently prohibited in 49 states. Nevada is the only state that it is legal, but it's strictly regulated. So, one of the positive benefits of legalization is the fact that it will make a safer work environment. Because of the criminal nature of sex workers often work in very isolated places. And in those isolated places, it's easier for the abuse and the violence perpetrated by the Johns, which are the clients, or the pimps, which are the bosses, to continue to happen. In 2019, there was a study done in Baltimore, Maryland, where 20% of 250 female workers reported physical, sexual, and verbal abuse within the last 3 months. And again, because they are not working in visible places, it continues and will continue to happen. So, legalization would enable sex workers to work in more visible places and also empower sex workers who are unfortunately deal with acts of violence to come forward and report it to the police, which is something that they can't do right now because they would also likely face prosecution. Another great thing about legalization is it promotes access to healthcare. We've all needed healthcare once in a while in our lives. But sex care workers, they need more medical care just because of the nature of the work. They're at a higher chance of contracting STDs. And right now, because of the abuse that they face, a lot of sex workers have PTSD, and the PTSDs are at the same level of war veterans. And because of the lack of support, access to therapy, and the social isolation, leads workers in this field to having higher suicide rates. So, legalization would help improve their health. They would have greater access to STD testing, emergency service, affordable care, and mental health care. And places like New Zealand, um, they also provide condoms, which I feel like empowers sex workers. If sex work becomes legal, I feel like it would empower them to require their clients to wear condoms. Um, Another positive of legalization is it would help minorities in the LGBTQ communities. So, workers who belong in the LGBTQ minority and undocumented immigrant like communities, they are the ones that are the most impacted by criminalization. Um, they have a higher rate of incarceration. They face larger jail times. And often people in these communities, they're not there because this is what they wanted to do when they grew up. They are there because they have no other means to survive. Studies in New York show that transgendered workers started in this field because their parents kicked them out of the house when they were young. Um, undocumented citizens, undocumented immigrants have nowhere else to turn, and minorities face discrimination in the work fields. So these groups, because they face lack of opportunities, they go into this field where it's common for them to face police brutality. Um, and again, they have a higher chance of prosecution and they do serve longer jail times. So, legalization will protect these workers by providing them with a more stable income. It would help reduce police violence, improve the mistrust between them and the police, and improve mass incarceration. So, there are many reasons why people are opposed to this legalization of sex work. And a lot of these groups are either religious or they're abolitionist females. So, abolitionist females argue that sex work initializes women's dependency on men, and then therefore, it's inherently explosive. Exploitative. Sorry. Christians and conservatives just say that sex work encourages premarital sex, and sex workers encourage men to behave immorally. And to those arguments, they don't make any sense. Sex work can empower women, which is what the abolitionist females are missing. And Christians and conservatives, sex workers aren't the reason why you're not sticking to your morals. So, let's legalize sex work. I know that this speech was really short, but it's so important to legalize sex work to make a safer sex environment for workers who endure so much on a day to day basis. Thank you. Have a nice day.